The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
Welcome to another episode of our Film Spotlight series. Joining us today is film critic Jackson Murphy. He can be found on lights-camera-jackson.com. Jackson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
And this is Brian, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar with my voice introing these. Paul is here. Say hello to the folks, Paul.
Yes, hello. I decided to let Brian handle the intro for this just because he's been complaining. It's been annoying.
I've just been just at you nonstop to be allowed to do this. So thank you for throwing me that bone, Paul.
No problem. I mean, you're doing all right so far. Maybe I'll let you do another. I don't know.
Okay, I respond well to positive reinforcement. So, all right. So, Paul, let's get into this.
All right. Well, obviously, the first thing we try and do is hazard a guess as to what genre the first pick is, which is the pick that you love. So, Brian, why don't you take one guess and I'll take a guess, and we'll see if either one of us got anywhere close.
Yes. All right. I am going to go. Hey, I'm just throwing a dart in the dark here. I'm going heist movie.
Heist.
Ooh.
Okay. That's definitely one I hadn't thought of, so that's all right. Well, I'm going to see what could be on the other end of the spectrum there, so we can try and cast as wide a net as possible. How about... Okay, I'm going to pick, and this is a shot in the dark as every single one of them is, romantic comedy. Because I class that as its own thing, so...
Was there a romantic heist film? Possibly.
There probably is. At this point, okay. I'm sure someone's made one.
I'm sure we've nailed it together here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so why don't you let us know, what is it that you picked?
Well, I have been a film critic for 10 and a half years, and one of my personal favorite genres is movies that have something to do with movies themselves. And the film I have chosen for this podcast for you gentlemen is a film called Be Kind, Rewind. Have you guys heard of that film?
I have heard of it. I believe I might have seen it.
Yes,
although details are sketchy.
I have heard of it. I have seen it, starring Jack Black.
Yeah.
Kind of in his slightly transitional phase, and Mos Def just after he did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So, yes, I remember this film kind of fondly, actually.
Yeah, it came out in February 2008, and it was my favorite film that I saw all year long. I had a real connection to it. I had a connection to the characters and to the story. I really thought it was very inventive from Michel Gondry.
Well, that kind of neatly follows into the next question then, which would be, why don't you sell us on this film? Why should... Obviously, we rewatch it, but also people that haven't seen this film, why should they watch it in the first place?
Yeah, it's probably, maybe for those listening out there, a Jack Black movie you've never really heard of. I've had the chance to meet Jack Black, and I told him how much I appreciated this movie, and he appreciated that. This is about a VHS store when those really did exist. I know there are a few still out there, but when VHS stores existed... And it's very quirky and it's inventive. And what these guys have to do is all the VHS tapes get erased. And so they decide to make their own versions of classic movies like Ghostbusters and Rush Hour 2 and RoboCop. And there's a great scene involving driving Miss Daisy that's really, really funny. but then there's a lot of heart to it and emotion to it because of the connection that these characters have to each other and to the VHS store that they're in. And once Sigourney Weaver's character comes in and they go through all the things involving the FBI and the FBI warning that usually comes at the beginning of the tapes, things take an interesting turn with this movie, and I think it really will get you towards the end.
Yeah, I remember it being a lot of fun, and of course it is something that the title of it refers to something that a lot of people now will never have to
Yeah,
experience
it's a very
again.
out of date reference. Yes,
It's true.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. I really did like the idea behind it, and as you say, that when they remake the films, that they pretend that they're imports from Sweden, so they're Sweding, I believe
Right.
was the term. And yeah, it's one of those things where they decide they're going to redo it, and it turns out every single one is only about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But so many people seem to like it. So
They become celebrities in the town, and yeah, it really works. I remember seeing the trailer for this in the theaters, and I was hooked immediately. And I have this feeling like once or twice a year when I go to the movies and I see a trailer that I know based on this trailer that the movie's gotta be really, really good. And I had that feeling for Be Kind Rewind. Did you guys have that feeling towards any specific movie or any recent movie you guys can remember?
Well, I would say myself, it's more when I saw the trailer for Pacific Rim, I thought, I know I need to watch this, and then having then seen it, it was, I think, my favorite film of that year. It was really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, so you got to be
Yeah,
thrilled that they're making Pacific Rim 2 and that they're going forward with it.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
very thrilled. Yeah,
I am kind of tentatively optimistic. I know that a lot of things could still go wrong, or that everything's not 100% set in stone yet, so I'm going to wait until the production is well underway before I start getting excited about it.
yeah. Likewise, yeah.
What about you, Brian? Anything coming to mind?
Most recently, obviously, just we're inundated with, the sequels and reboots and all that kind of stuff. And so anything unique always strikes my attention. And I guess there's a couple films just that spring to mind most recently that still I have not seen. So hush on spoilers if you have. Midnight Special, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing here. And then Swiss Army Man.
I want to see Swiss Army Man.
Mashup of Weekend at Bernie's and Castaway, I'm in. So, yeah, those two just kind of spring to mind immediately.
Yeah, I like the idea that kind of like Ryan Reynolds finally getting to do Deadpool, Daniel Radcliffe just leaped at the chance to play a dead body. Like the role of a lifetime.
I have had the chance to see Midnight Special, and I will tell you, Michael Shannon will not disappoint you in Midnight Special. He's very good in that, and he's very good in a film called Elvis and Nixon, in which he plays Elvis Presley. He's actually very good in that, too.
He has not disappointed me as of yet. So, yeah, I expect just more of the same.
Yeah. All right, well, obviously it's always fun to have a nice conversation here, but let's try and steer it back on track.
Yeah, must we?
I know. I mean, yeah, whatever. Maybe we could just do a question and then tangent. Let's do that. So, you kind of answered this then, but what about Be Kind Rewind really spoke to you and made you pick it for this episode?
I think it's because I've had a love of movies my whole life, and this really explored so many different angles of the movie world from such a small but intricate and interesting point of view of this one video store and how much that movies can mean to people, because they meant a lot to the community. They meant a lot to the people at the store, and they mean a lot to everybody who watches the movies. And when they come into the store in the final scenes of the movie, without giving too much away, when they come in and they watch the final films on the TV, movies can speak to you, movies can change you, movies can make you who you are. I firmly believe that they can change your life. And I think that it really shows the impact of cinema, and Michel Gondry really got that through the script and through those characters.
I'll definitely agree with you there, especially film changing your life. It was when I went to college, which for those of you in America, in England you go to compulsory education, then at 16 you leave compulsory education, then you go to college for 2 years if you want to, and if you've got the grades, and then you go to university for 3 years. So while I was in college I took my first film studies course, and it was while dissecting The Road to Perdition. That was like my aha moment. That it was like, and then that's kind of what pushed me down doing film studies at university. And
that's fantastic.
And then obviously this podcast, like, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I hadn't had that experience and really gone into film. So yeah, watching films can definitely change your life.
Yeah, and I'm just to, sorry to beat a dead horse, but yeah, just going to echo both of those sentiments. That it's this podcast is just we don't ask anything of it. If we have one listener, that's great. Paul and I love to get together and talk about cinema. That's so yes, most definitely movies have changed my life and will continue to do so. And that's it really is something special when you can identify and be moved and changed by a movie.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, yeah. Obviously, that's a great reason to pick it, to sort of showcase the film that you like there. But I don't. Obviously, if this is spoilery at all, you can dance around as much as you like. But do you happen to have a favorite moment in the film or a favorite scene? Like something that every time you watch it, you look forward to that scene, or it always makes you laugh, or always makes you cry, or anything?
I think that final scene does make me tear up a little bit. There's a few movies where that happens towards the end. There's another movie about movies that I love called Saving Mr. Banks, and that gets me every time. Yeah, that's such a powerful film too. It really is.
It is. However, I do hold issue with the fact that they change history in it.
They do a little bit. Yes, but as a movie, it really works.
Yeah, and my main issue is the fact that the person that wrote Mary Poppins and agreed to let Walt Disney make this film absolutely hated the film version.
Yeah, she did. Dick Van Dyke's autobiography is in this room that I'm in currently, and I remember reading that chapter, and he said that night at the Mary Poppins premiere, the only person who didn't seem to like it was P.L. Travers, and then he writes a couple paragraphs about her reaction to it. They really don't explore that in the movie because I think they didn't necessarily want a happy ending, because it's not quite a happy ending. It sort of is, but it's not. I think they just wanted an emotional wrap up and an emotional tie, and I guess she did really cry at the movie, so they wanted that to sort of end it.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I can understand that it's film, you need to take cinematic license. It's just, given that Miss Travers even went so far as to state right until the end of her life, when they did a Broadway version of Mary Poppins, they had to ask her for permission because she had stated she didn't want any Americans involved in the production of any other adaptations of Mary Poppins, and they had to ask her for permission to get this one American to work on the cast for it.
Wow.
So she would have voted yes on the Brexit.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, so, yeah, I will say, if I'm remembering it correctly, I can understand why you would enjoy the final scene there. It's a very nice button on this film about films.
Yeah,
it really. Yeah, you're really getting me wanting to. Sorry to cut you. Yeah, to watch this again. It's bringing it back to me. I'm really looking forward to watching this again.
Yeah, it's got a lot of range of emotions to it. That's what I like about movies as well. Be Kind Rewind has the funny moments, and it has the surprises. It has the dramatic elements and the tension, what there is. And I know because I looked this up today, it was a nominee for the AARP Best Comedy for Grown-Ups award for that year. I know maybe it skews a little older than my demographic, being only 17, but I thoroughly enjoyed it when it came out, and when it came out, I was not even 10 years old, but I saw how special it was.
Yeah, it really is a love letter to the bygone age of obviously VHS, but then even more so just classic films and how people view them. So, definitely.
And in the hands of Gondry, it's hard to steer wrong there. So,
well, the final question for this particular section would be: obviously, there is no sequel, but if there were to be one, what would you want it to be?
Well, I think DVDs are starting to go away, and if there was another situation, it would be tough with this kind of storyline. But making a DVD store going away, there could be similar themes and similar elements to it. You have similar problems. Everybody wants to view everything online, and I still think there is a benefit to watching things on a disc. There's a lot of benefit to that. We still need that. We still need DVDs. I still like to have a hard copy of something in my hand, a piece of paper, as opposed to looking at something on a device. So I think there definitely brings up similar topics and issues when it came to VHS with DVDs, that a similar storyline I think could be developed.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe they could have moved on from that store. Just Times eventually got away from them, and they went to work at Blockbuster, and now the Blockbuster's going over. Although I think it might end up turning into Clerks in a way if you went down that way.
I'm just realizing Jack Black has portrayed a record store employee and now a video store employee. So he has two bygone formats.
Yeah, I was going to draw a little parallel to High Fidelity.
High Fidelity, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another one of those films. I think it's also these sorts of films. They feel very cozy, like very sort of intimate settings, small stores in a community, and that it's kind of nice to see film like that, especially. You go to the cinema during the summer, and you get, obviously we just had Independence Day. At the time of recording this, we just had Independence Day.
We had a nice long chat about that, yeah.
Yes, we did. And all of these films that come out that are either huge budget, like trying to do a huge plot, huge explosions, huge CG, and then you've also got just your random other ones that come out, or just your kid movies, and that's about it. There's not very many of these sorts of films that come out now, maybe a couple a year if you're lucky.
Now if they do, they're VOD, they don't get a theatrical release.
Yeah, which that might be kind of talking about the whole DVD going out of style, and obviously True. VOD is what's coming in to sort of replace that kind of. And maybe these sorts of films will become more popular when people do start making them specifically just to go out digitally. A little bit like Turbo Kid, actually, that we reviewed. That one I don't think got it was fantastic. It didn't get a real release. It was mostly just through digital, and then obviously DVDs once that had gone out. And yeah, it was. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next, say, 5 years.
Yeah,
where this is all going.
Exactly.
All right. Well, obviously we have waxed lyrical about this film that turns out we all quite like. So...
Yes, I'm looking it up on iTunes right now to see what the cost is.
Well, do let us know. Maybe we'll all get a digital copy by the end of the tonight. But I think we need to delve into the murky waters of a film that maybe you didn't enjoy as much. So, rather than try and guess, as we always say, there are so many bad films in all the genres.
There's plenty to choose from,
it's even more difficult, because if you're trying to pick a great film that you think people really like, then, depending on the person, it's easy to get. But when it comes to films that people don't like, it just everything. There's just too much. So why don't you just let us know, what is it that you've chosen?
You just tell us the name of the movie. That is bad. All right.
I have chosen a trilogy of movies. Now, it features some Academy Award winners. It features an Emmy winner. It features Oscar nominees. It features Golden Globe nominees. All kinds of big stars in it. But all three of these movies just have not worked at all. And this is... Do you guys think you might know?
I mean, I could hazard a guess, but I'd probably be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest the Hobbit trilogy.
Ooh, it is not the Hobbit trilogy.
Okay.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
Go for it.
I
Nope.
have chosen the Divergent series.
Oh.
Okay, fair enough.
These movies haven't worked at all. They came out, the first one, Divergent, came out in March 2014 on the heels of The Hunger Games, with those first couple movies with Jennifer Lawrence being another book to screen adaptation for teens and tweens, and especially for girls. And the first one wasn't very good, the second one wasn't very good, and this third one that just came out was terrible. So there's nothing great about these at all, guys. Nothing really.
I have not seen one of them. I can't say I have a desire to see any of them, and especially now.
Yes, I'd say I have not seen any of them. My wife read the first book, and I think she didn't hate it, but it was just kind of meh. And then I don't know if she ever ended up watching the film, but I know that she doesn't really care about finishing it or going out of her way to watch it.
So what do you think this series fails to capture that perhaps maybe Hunger Games or series of that ilk did better?
Really, excitement. It just kind of seems flat the whole way through with these movies. Hunger Games had a lot of interesting elements going on. Plus, Jennifer Lawrence was great in all of them, and there were a lot of interesting supporting characters in the Hunger Games movies. Stanley Tucci's character and Donald Sutherland's character. Here, Shailene Woodley, who I think is very good in The Descendants and very good in The Fault in Our Stars, doesn't get a whole lot to do and doesn't get to show how good of an actress she can be. And all of these big-name supporting cast members like Jeff Daniels and Kate Winslet and Naomi Watts and Octavia Spencer, they're not given great dialogue. They're not given much to do either. It's just, I don't know. I think I almost fell asleep during the second one. I think it was just they're just dull throughout. There's really nothing to latch on to and nothing to make you want to come back to it when it comes to seeing the next one. When I flip the calendar and see it's March, I go, oh my gosh, another Divergent movie. Wow.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I have to say, I've brought up the Wikipedia page for it, and I think all of the extra people that you mentioned, except one, aren't featured on this page. Like, it's telling me that you got Ashley Judd, Jai Courtney, Kate Winslet, Miles Teller.
Miles Teller, he's great. Yeah, all these people are part of the entire trilogy with Daniels coming in the third one, and he plays such a goofy character in Allegiant. He plays such a goofy character. I felt bad for him. Miles Teller, who was so good in Whiplash.
And they were so good together in The Spectacular Now.
I liked The Spectacular Now. I wanted to love it, and I couldn't. But
really? Okay.
I didn't connect to it as much as other people did. I don't know. It felt a little forced to me.
That's fair enough.
And we'll say we do know that Miles Teller can have his toe in the murky waters, since obviously he was in Fantastic Four.
They were all victims of that.
Yeah, so many great people in it, and it was just so badly done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's not discuss that any further.
In Allegiant, there's a minor character, such a minor character. He's just a soldier, and he's trying to run away from Shailene Woodley's character and everybody else chasing him, and he feels like he's just done. He drops his gun and he says, "Screw this, I'm out of here." He runs, and then he ends up getting shot and killed. And just the way he said it, I thought was hysterical. Just, screw this, I'm out of here. That's kind of how I felt sitting through that movie, that I kind of wanted to get up and leave, but I wanted to see if anything else interesting would happen.
Yeah, well, that can be the bane of Betty film reviewers and stuff like that, is that sometimes you do have to sit through it because, people want to know what you think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you think this film can be enjoyed, I guess, ironically, or is it just bad, or is it bad? Can it be good, bad?
I don't know if even the core group of fans and the tween and teen girls who read the books and obsessed over the books like they did for Hunger Games and Twilight, I don't even know if they would really be entertained by these movies.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I don't think, because and you look at the box office, and that's what I go to. The first movie made $150 million in the U.S. The second movie made $130 the next year, so it dropped a little. This third movie made exactly half, basically $65 million when it came out earlier this year here in the U.S. The popularity of it is gone. It's taken too long for these movies to come out, and so the popularity of it, what it had, has gone away.
Yeah, and the biggest problem I find with all of these things is the trend obviously started with Harry Potter, I think, the modern trend, because you had this stuff that everyone just started making films once a year. They were trying to get it all out, and then because that was so successful, everyone started going, okay, do we have any others? So you had The Hunger Games, which was a hit. You got The Maze Runner, which it kind of fell on its face a little recently. And then you got this one, which obviously seems as though it just missed the mark entirely. So, yeah, it's not so much parallel thinking, more as studios trying to milk it for all it's worth.
Yeah,
because I do think that there was another one that came out recently where it should have been good, but then it wasn't, and I'm trying to remember, it's like something in the shadows, and it features one of the guys from the British version of Misfits and all of these things. So it's it's so bad I can't even remember what it was called.
But yeah, they got another one in the works. The last one is called the Divergent series Ascendant, which basically is coming out in June 2017. They moved it from March to June. That's not going to help at all. That's its U.S. release date. That's not going to help at all when it comes to how much money it's going to make. I heard, though, after the opening weekend for Allegiant, that Lionsgate and Summit Entertainment, which is they've now joined forces, they've cut the budget on Ascendant because they want to try to save money, because they know it's no longer a money-making franchise.
Yeah.
Why are they still giving us these?
Yeah. I do think that some studios just want to have a series. That you've got the Paranormal Activities that just keep coming out, and surely no one cares at this point. You've got The Purge now has a third one coming out, or has come out, whatever. I care so little that I don't know if it's out yet or not. And so you've got this one. What was the company that did this one? Was it is it one of those Summit?
Yeah, Lionsgate and Summit. Yeah. Which Lionsgate also had the Hunger Games, but because Lionsgate and Summit came together, they tried to make more out of it, and they really haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, this is just kind of turning into us lamenting what some of these films can be now. So the question I like to try and ask then is, what would you do to fix it? If someone came to you and said, here's this film, you have unlimited budget, you have full editorial control and all that, fix it. What would you do?
Ooh, I would just not make it feel so predictable and so dull. I think they need to spice it up. I mean, I don't really love the concept altogether, but besides just changing the concept altogether, which would seem, crazy based on based on a book series, I would make some tweaks and changes to the story and try to spice things up and not make it feel so over dramatic as well. That was one of my problems with this newest one too. It just felt so over dramatic, and maybe try to add some more money into the budget for special effects and visual effects that are a lot stronger, because this franchise hasn't had great visual effects either. I think the cast is filled with big names and filled with great actors that can do great things, and give them more opportunities to do so, maybe with just some more interesting things overall. It just has to appeal more.
I guess the question could be really broadened to how would you fix a lot of these things. I think one main problem with these films is that because they are based on young adult books, there's never really anything that, pardon the pun, diverges from this formula that they are made from. There's always going to be certain things that happen. So maybe what they should do is have it be one of those things where they're inspired by. So you get the source material and you can read that and it's its own thing, and then you make these films, but for a slightly more grown-up audience, especially since the people that read the books, by the time the film comes out, they're going to be 2 or 3 years older. Yeah. So that's who you're aiming. It's
not going to connect in the same way. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. It's what happened sort of with the Hunger Games too, because the last couple of Hunger Games movies didn't make nearly as much as the first couple of Hunger Games films because the target audience got older. They kept taking longer to make the movies and the interest levels went down. It still made a lot more than Divergent series Allegiant did, but you faced that same issue as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could always argue that the main reason the Hunger Games did so well was just Jennifer Lawrence. And that springboarded her up into stardom, and fantastically, I have to say, she's definitely one of the
to have a fantastic actress like that at the head of the franchise,
and I don't know too much about, what did you say her name was?
Shailene Woodley?
Shailene Woodley, which I think I think she's a good actress, but, I don't know.
And maybe it was just, she wasn't properly cast, maybe is there at all a little bit of a trying to think of the word now. Does it feel at all like maybe she shouldn't have been the one to do it? Maybe it should have been someone else?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't fully feel like she's in a real comfort zone. You can sort of tell. Every one of these movies, what's interesting about these is every one of these films, she changes her hair color, her hairstyle, the haircut is completely different. So in one film, she's got a big ponytail. In another, it's like a triangle shape. It's really short with bangs in another movie. It's completely different hairstyles. But yeah, I think she's a good actress. I think she's made some good films and can show real emotion in the dramatic scenes, especially The Descendants with George Clooney, which I think she deserved an Oscar nomination for that. Really, her character was very pivotal to that story, and she handled it really, really well. But yeah, maybe casting a different actress might not have been a bad idea either.
Yeah, because I do think that a lot of these films, obviously people rush them out because it's like, okay, this is popular now, we want to make sure it's out in a year. So
True.
Maybe they can't spend that time looking for someone who's perfect for the role. They look for someone who they'll do. And that could always be the issue. Not to say that they didn't feel that she was perfect for the role, but
and
we are not the
availability
filmmakers.
and things like that.
But you can wish as much as you want. It's never gonna never gonna really do anything, is it?
No, it isn't.
Has the Angry Birds movie come out where you guys are?
Yeah, that came out a little while ago, didn't it?
Didn't it?
Okay, yeah, because it came out about 2 months ago here, and what really happened was because Angry Birds was so popular 3-4 years ago, they decided we got to make this movie, but animated movies take so long. I thought that the Angry Birds movie would make a lot more money than it really did here in the U.S. I just don't think there was enough interest anymore for families to rush out and go see it.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually heard not too bad things about it, that they kind of understood what it actually was.
Yes.
And so that there's a bit of a nice level there, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see this film.
Yeah, I still don't know who that would appeal to. I mean, that game was popular, almost 6, 7, 8 years ago now? It's just a bit odd. Yes, they do take time, but I know Rovio has their own studio now, but
that's another interesting thing. So they're now making films, but what other game do they have? Are they going to base all of their films on games, or
vice versa?
Yeah, I think they pretty much only did Angry Birds for 6-7 years, and then they did maybe 1 or 2 other ones, but.
Right, just keep having new installments of the Angry Birds, franchise to keep adding on to it.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, do you think it's going to be would be better or worse than Freebirds?
I
That's
think
a film that Paul has experience with.
Yeah, I think I would guess better because Freebirds isn't exactly that great. Yeah,
it's a little better than Freebirds. It is. I think it does stay true to the game. That's what I liked about. I think it's very fast-paced and very frenetic at times, but there's a lot of funny moments, and it does stay true to the style and the speed of the game, which is why I think if people liked the game and did go to see the movie, I think they'd be pleased.
Okay, so...
entirely lost on how we got onto this tangent, but...
it's always fun then, because now we can say that obviously we want people to go see Be Kind Rewind, and now instead of seeing Divergent, they should go and see Angry Birds.
Because you're going to be late for the theater, but yeah.
Yes, I think we have some nice consumer advice there.
Absolutely.
All right, well, yeah, this has been great fun. Thank you for coming
I could do this forever, yeah.
Yeah, so why don't you tell people where it is they can find you online, or where they can get a hold of you, just anything you want to pimp, now's the time.
Social security number, address, whatever you like.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to reveal all of that, but let's start at the beginning and see how far I get.
Okay.
I'm on lights-camera-jackson.com. All the latest movie news and movie reviews. Twitter at LCJ Reviews. Facebook, Lights Camera Jackson. I'm on Instagram at LightsCamJackson. I put up new videos every week with reviews. YouTube.com/LightsCameraJackson. And I love being a part of this podcast. And currently, I'm going to be on a bunch of different podcasts for the LCJ Podathon. I am raising money for Make-A-Wish, which is a wonderful organization that really makes dreams come true for children in need. And I've had a few friends who basically Make-A-Wish has saved their lives and made their lives a lot better and a lot happier for them and for their families. So please go to my Twitter page, twitter.com/LCJ Reviews, and you can get the link to the CrowdRise page. Please donate to Make-A-Wish. There's a big orange button that says donate. That link is also on the homepage of my website. This LCJ Podathon, and I've loved being a part of your podcast tonight. This was really fun.
Yeah, it's always great. And
too kind.
Yeah, anytime you want to just pop back on for anything, let us know. We'll see what we can work out.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on a feature-length episode.
Yeah.
Along with you.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you. I appreciate this.
Oh, no problem. And, of course, you can find us where we always are. We're on Twitter at Blockbusters, Facebook.com/Blockbusters. You can email us, blockbusterpodcast@gmail.com, because Muggins here forgot the second S. And we're also on Instagram. I think we had maybe 4 pictures on there, but hey, we're on it. At Blockbusters, and just search Blockbusters anywhere you go. Chances are you'll find us. So... I think that's it from all 3 of us. Am I right?
That's yes.
All right.
All right. Bye, folks.
Goodbye.